Tonight, we present Love Letters by A.R. Gurney. Love Letters was originally done in the 80s on Broadway, and now it's sort of a staple. It is a story of, it's a two-act play. It follows the aches, pains, loves, and other complications in the lives of two people as they age from 80 to 60, only through the letters they write to each other from 1937 to 1985. So, traditionally, this play is done with two mature people, a male and a female. We thought it might be fun to try to do it slightly differently, so we have kept the exact wording of the play, but instead of using two mature people, we are using two grammar school people, two high school people, two, I don't know what you call them, 30-year-old people, and two mature people. So we'll change. So in two acts, the first act are obviously the youngsters and the high school age people. There's a blackout in between. You need an applause, but if you move, actors love applause, doesn't hurt. Then there'll be a short intermission, right? There'll be another blackout in the middle of the second act, and then we'll be finished. The intermission will be brief, 5 to 7 minutes. This is what we call on book. In other words, there's no movement. These are two people, they're reading letters. So they read. And Eva Wright and myself have been looking for these kinds of plays so that many more people can be involved in it. It's very difficult in a small community like ours is to, and people are working, by the way, or going to school. Our two high school performers have a schedule that makes my head spin. I don't know how they do it. I never did it. I was lucky to get out of bed and smoke a cigarette and go to my sophomore English class. You know, I consider that a successful day. But anyway, so if we can bring people into the theater by not making them memorize. You know, memorization is really tough. And then you got to remember that you don't. You can't walk into that chair. Or, you have to do this and say that line here. So if we can simplify and still bring good theater to the community, I think we can involve more people. And just as so far we're having a bit of luck because two of our performers tonight have never, ever, ever been on a stage of any kind in their life, right? And they're here, and it's wonderful, and they're quite good. So that's the idea of this, and we're going to try to find more plays to do that. Try to get you guys involved. You know, your $5 is fine. We're not going to give it back to you. Thank you for it. But also just to come in and have some fun in the theater. I should also tell you that next year there's probably going to be hopefully a large fundraising movement to try to improve the theater so that you don't hear those semis going by. And when Charlie turns his compressor on, we're not busy getting gas or anything like that. Okay, so I'm talking too much. Grateful thanks to Dr. Meg on the lights, Saul Lieberman, Helen Chester, Janice Pulliam, Anita, Rob Riedschauger, Hal Arnest, Martin Leibovitz, the board of directors of the Patagonia Players, Cassina Farley, and my mentor and friend Eva Wright, who's helped me make the transition from directing film to directing live theater, and it's a huge difference. Anyway, special thanks to my wife Elise for her kindness, criticisms, and undying love. Disclaimer. There are two brief moments in the play which may cause discomfort to some members of the audience as they comment on the intelligence of members of the Catholic and Jewish faiths. The speeches have been left in the play. We all sort of reacted to them in rehearsals and we debated taking them out. Contractually, we're not supposed to do that. And we also left them in because they reflect on the character of the male lead who was raised in the upper middle class environment of New York and Connecticut in the period before and after the Second World War. This is not an excuse for the ideas that he expresses, just an explanation. That's how it was. At any rate, I would ask you to follow my lead in turning off our cell phones. Okay? And the last thing is to remind you of the fire exits. Thank you. That had to be Jude. There was Jude. There are, on this side of the building, an exit. In the unlikely event, I sound like a stewardess, in the flight attendant, in the unlikely event of a fire, please proceed calmly through the door marked exit. Okay? In the unlikely event that all of you are trying to get out that door, good luck, crispy critters. Behind this curtain, can you see it? You people can. See the big red sign?
Exit.
Exit. If you go out that door, there are lights like in the airplane on the floor that are on, and just follow those lights up one step to a door, and you're out the building. Okay? So please remember that and stay calm. Without further ado, I welcome you to Love Letters.
Andrew Makepeace Ladd III accepts with pleasure the kind invitation of Mr. and Mrs. Gilbert Channing Gardner for a birthday party in honor of their daughter Melissa on April 19th, 1937 at 3:30.
Dear Andy, thank you for the birthday present. I have lots of Oz books, but not The Lost Princess of Oz. What made you give me that one? Sincerely yours, Melissa.
I am answering your letter about the book. When you came into second grade with that stuck-up nurse, you look like a lost princess.
I don't believe what you wrote. I think my mother told your mother to get that book. I like the pictures more than the words. Now let's stop writing letters.
I will make my L's taller than my D's.
I will close up my A's and my O's.
I will try to make longer P's. Pass it on.
You're funny.
Will you be my Valentine?
Were you the one who sent me a Valentine saying, "Will you be my Valentine?"
Yes, I sent it.
Then I will be, unless I have to kiss you.
When it's warmer out, can I come over and swim in your pool?
No, you can't. I have a new nurse named Miss Hawthorne who thinks she'll give me infantile paralysis.
Will you help me go down and get the milk and cookies during recess?
I will if you don't ask me to marry you again.
I will not write personal notes in class. I will not write personal notes in class. I will not. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year! Love, Andy Ladd.
I made this card myself. It's not Santa Claus. It's a kangaroo jumping over a glass of orange juice. Do you like it? I like you. Melissa.
My mother says I have to apologize in writing. I apologize for sneaking into the girls' bathhouse while you were changing. Tell Miss Hawthorne I apologize to her too.
Here's a picture I drew of you and me without our bathing suits on. Guess which one is you? Don't show this to anyone. I love you.
Here's a picture of Miss Hawthorne without her bathing suit on.
You can't draw very well, can you?
Thank you for sending me the cactus plant stuck in the little donkey. I've gotten lots of presents here in the hospital. And I have to write thank you notes for everyone. I hate it here. My throat is sore all the time from where they cut out my tonsils. They give me lots of ice cream, but they also take my temperature the wrong way.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Why did they send you to another school this year?
Merry Christmas. They think I should be with all boys.
You made me promise to send you a postcard. This is it.
You're supposed to write personal notes on the back of postcards. For example, here are some questions to help you things to say. Do you like Lake Saranac? Is it fun visiting your grandmother? Are your parents really getting divorced? Can you swim out into the deep part of that lake? Or does Miss Hawthorne make you stay in the shallow part where it's all roped off? Is there anybody there my age? I mean boys. These are answers to all these questions.
No, no, yes, yes, no.
Dear Melissa, remember me, Andy Ladd? They sent me to camp so I can be with all boys again. This is quiet hour, so we have to write home. But I've already done that, so I'm writing you. There's a real Indian here named Iron Crow who takes us on nature walks and teaches us 6 new plants a day. This is okay, except you forgot about poison ivy. I won the backstroke, which gives me 2.5 gold stars. If I get over 50 gold stars by Parents' Day, then I win leadership prize, which is what my father expects of me. I'm making a napkin ring in shop, which is with 4 stars, and which is either for my mother or for you. I hope you'll write me back, because when the mail comes every morning, they shout out our names. And it'd be neat to walk up and get a letter from a girl.
Help! Eek! Yikes! I can't write letters. It took me hours just to write Dear Andy. I write my father because I miss him so much. But to write a boy? Hell's bells and oriental smells. I'm sending you this picture I drew of our cat instead. Don't you love his expression? It's not quite right, but I tried 3 times. I drew those jiggly lines around his tail because sometimes the tail behaves like a completely separate person. I love that tail. There's a part of me that feels like that tail. Oh, and here's some bad news. My mother's gotten married again to a man named Hooper McPhail. Help! Let me out of here.
I like that cat. Is that the cat you threw in the pool that time when we were playing over at your house in 3rd grade?
No, that was a different cat entirely.
This is a dumb Halloween card and wouldn't scare anyone. But I'm really ready about dancing school. My parents say I have to go this year, but I don't see why I have to. I can't figure out why they keep sending us away from girls and then telling us we have to be with them. Are you going to dance at school also? Just say yes or no, since you hate writing.
Yes.
Dear Mrs. McPhail, I want to apologize to you for my behavior in the back of your car, coming home last night from dancing school. Charlie and I were just goofing around, and I guess it just got out of hand. I'm sorry you had to pull over to the curb, and I'm sorry you tore Melissa's dress. My father says you should send me the bill, and I'll pay for it out of my allowance.
Dear Andy, Mommy brought your letter up here to Lake Placid. She thought it was cute. I thought it was dumb. I can tell your father made you write it. You and I both know that the fight in the car was really Charlie's fault, and Charlie never apologized. Thank God. That's why I like him, actually. As for you, you shouldn't always do what your parents want, Andy. Even at dance school, you're always just doing the right thing all the time. You're a victim of your parents sometimes. That's why I picked Charlie to do the rumba with me that time. He at least hacks around occasionally. I'm enclosing a picture I drew of dancing bear on a chain. That's you, Andy. Sometimes, I swear.
I know it seems jerky, but I like writing, actually. I like writing compositions in English. I like writing letters. I like writing you. I wanted to write that letter to your mother because I knew you'd see it. So it was like talking to you when you weren't here. And you couldn't interrupt? Hint, hint. My father says everyone should write letters as much as they can. It's a dying art. He says letters are a way of presenting yourself in the best possible light to another person. I think that too.
I think you sound too much like your father. But I'm not going to argue by mail. Anyways, the skiing's too good.
Get well soon. I'm sorry you broke your leg.
Mommy says I broke it purposefully because I'm a self-destructive person and went down Whiteface Mountain without asking permission. All I know is I wish I had broken my arm instead, so I'd have a good excuse not to write letters. I'm enclosing a picture I drew of the bedpan. I'm serious. Don't you love its shape?
Andrew M. Ladd III accepts with pleasure the kind invitation of Mrs. R. Ferguson Brown for dinner in honor of her granddaughter, Melissa Gardner, before the Children's Charity Ball.
I'm writing this letter because I'm scared if I called you up, I'd start crying right on the telephone. I'm really mad at you, Andy. Don't you know that when you're invited to a dinner, before a dance, you're supposed to dance with the person giving it at least twice? I don't mean my grandmother either. That's why you give dinner parties, so people get danced with. I noticed you danced with Ginny Waters, but you never danced with me once. I just think it's rude, that's all. Straighten up and fly right, Andy. How do you expect to get anywhere in the life if you're rude to women? Nuts to you, Andy, and that goes double on Sunday.
I didn't dance with you because I got a stretched groin. If you don't know what that means, look it up sometime. I was going to tell you in person, but I got embarrassed. I stretched it playing hockey last week. And the only reason I dance with Ginny Waters is she takes tiny steps, but you always made me do these big spins, and we could have gotten into some serious trouble. I tried it out at home with my mother first, and it hurt like hell. That's why I didn't dance with you. I'm using a heating pad now, and maybe we can dance next week at the junior assemblies.
I don't believe that hockey stuff. I think Ginny Waters stretched your groin. And next time you cut in, I'm going to stretch the other one.
What? You obviously don't know what a groin is.
You obviously don't know what a joke is. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Guess what? I'm going to a psychiatrist now. My mother says it will do me a world of good. Don't tell anyone, though. It's supposed to be a big secret.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I have a question. Would you please write the answer by mail? Because sometimes when you call, my mother listens on the telephone. And when she doesn't, my little brother does. Here's the question. Do you talk about sex with the psychiatrist?
I talk about sex all the time. It's terribly expensive, but I think it's worth it.
If I went to a psychiatrist, I'd talk about you. Seriously, I would. I think about you quite often.
Sometimes I think you just like me because I'm richer than you are. Sometimes I really have that feeling. I think you like the pool and the elevator at my grandmother's house, and Simpson in his butler's coat coming in with ginger ale and cookies on a silver tray. I think you like all that stuff just as much as you like me.
All I know is my mother keeps saying you'd make a good match. She says if I'd married you, I'd be set for life. But I think it's just really physical attraction. That's why I like going into the elevator with you at your grandmother's that time. Want to try it again?
Help! Let me out of here! They shipped me off to this nunnery. It's the end of the absolute world. We have to wear these sappy midi blouses and learn posture in gym. And speak French out loud in class. Et moi, mon chevalier. Oh God, it's crappy here. All the girls squeal and shriek, and you can hear them barfing in the bathroom after the evening meal. We can only go to Hartford one day a week, and if we have a chaperone. There are only 2 dances with boys a year, and if we're caught drinking, even beer, it's wham bam onto the next train and home, which is worse. Can you come home? Can you come and visit me Sunday afternoon? We can invite boys to tea from 4 to 6. There are all these ladies sitting around keeping watch. But if the weather's good, we could walk up and down the driveway before we have to sign in for evening prayers. They made me room with this fat, spoiled Cuban bitch who has 9 pairs of shoes. And all she does is lie on her bed and listen to Finion's Rainbow. How are things in Glockamora? Who gives a shit how things are there? It's here where they're miserable. The walls of the cell are puke green, and you can't pin anything up except school banners and pictures of your stupid family. What family? Am I supposed to sit and look at a picture of Hooper McFeel? Ugh, come save me, Andy. Or at least write. Just so I can hear a boy's voice, even on paper.
Just got your letter. They shipped me off too. Last minute decision. Your mother told my mother it'd do me some good. She said I was a diamond in the rough. I'll write as soon as I'm smoother.
Dear Diamond, you too. Oh, I give up. Why do they keep pushing us together and then pulling us apart? I think we're all being brought up by a bunch of foolish farts. Now we'll have to write letters, which I hate. But don't let them smooth you out, Andy. I like the rough parts. In fact, sometimes I think you ought to be a little rougher. Love me.
I'm very sorry to be so late in replying, but I haven't had much time. I also have a lot of obligations. I have to write my parents once a week, and 3 out of 4 grandparents separately once a month. And Minnie, our cook, who sent me a box of fudge. Plus, I have all my schoolwork to do, including a composition once a week for English and another for history. My grandmother gave me a new Parker 51 and some writing paper with my name on it as a going away present, but still, it's a lot of writing I have to do. Last week I was so tied up I skipped my weekly letter to my parents, and my father called the school long distance about it. I had to go up on the carpet in front of the rector and say I wasn't sick or anything. I was just working, so I had to write my parents 3 pages to make up for the week I missed. So that's why I haven't written till now. Phew. School is going well, I guess. In English, we're now finishing up Milton's Paradise Lost. In history, we're studying the causes and effects of the 30 Years' War. I think the Catholics caused it. In Latin, we're translating Cicero's orations against Catiline. How long ago, Catiline, will you abuse our patience? When I get home, I'm going to try that one on my little brother. In French, we have to sit and listen to Mr. Thatcher read out loud all parts in Andre Roman by Jean Racine. It's supposed to be a great masterpiece, but the class comes right after football practice. It's a little hard to stay awake. In sacred studies, we have to compare and contrast all 4 Gospels. It's hard to believe they're all talking about the same guy. In math, I'm trying to factor with 2 unknowns. Sometimes I let X be me and Y be you, and you'd be amazed how it comes out. My grades are pretty good. They post your weekly average outside study hall, and last week I got a 91.7 overall average. Not bad, huh? I got a letter from my grandfather telling me not to be first in my class because only the Jews are first. Yep. I wrote him and told him I wasn't first, but even if I was, there are no Jews here. We have a few Catholics, but they're not too smart. Actually, I don't think you can be smart and Catholic at the same time. I was elected to the student council and I'm arguing for 3 things. 1, I think we should have outside sports rather than keeping them all intramural. I think it would be better to play with Exeter than just play with ourselves. 2, I think we should have more than just 1 dance a year. I think female companionship can be healthy occasionally, even for younger boys. And 3, I think we should only have to go to chapel once on Sunday. I think it's important to pray to a better God and all that, but if you have to do it all day long, it can get quite boring. If you get boring to yourself, think how boring you must be to God. I'm playing left tackle on the 3rd team, and I'll be playing hockey, of course, this winter. And I think I'll try rowing this spring since I always stank at baseball. Now I have to memorize the last 5 lines of Paradise Lost. Hold it back in a little while. There. That wasn't so hard. Maybe because it reminds me of you and me, sent away from home. I'll write it down for you. Some natural tears they dropped, but wiped them soon. The world was all before them where to choose. Their place of rest and providence their guide, they hand in hand with wandering steps and slow, through Eden took their solitary way. There you are. I wrote that without looking at the book, and it's right too, because I checked it word by word. It's not so bad, is it? In fact, it sounds great if you recite in the bathroom when no one is in the shower or taking a dump. Love, Andy.
Thanks for your letter, which was a little too long. I guess you have a lot of interesting things to say, Andy, but some of them are not terribly interesting to me. I want to hear more about your feelings. For instance, here are my feelings. This place stinks, but I don't want to go back home because Hooper McFeel stinks. I haven't heard of another boarding school that doesn't stink, which means that life stinks in general. Those are my feelings for this week. Write soon. Love, me.
One feeling I have almost all the time is that I miss my dog, Porgy. Remember him? Our black cocker who peed in the vestibule when you patted him when you came back to our house after the skating party? I miss him all the time. Some of the masters up here have dogs, and when I pat them, I miss Porgy even more. I dream about him. I wrote a composition about him for English called Will He Remember Me? And I got a 96 on it. It was about how I remember him, but will he remember me? I have a picture of him on my bureau right next to my parents. By the way, can I have your picture too?
Here's a picture of me taken at the Hartford bus station. I was all set to run away and then decided not to. This is all you get until I get my braces off Christmas vacation. Don't look at my hair, I'm changing it. By the way, do you know a boy there named Spencer Willis? There's a girl here, Annie Abbott, met him in Edgartown last summer and thinks he's cute. Would you ask him what he thinks of her?
Spencer Willis says Andy Abbott is a potential nympho. I'm sorry to tell you this, but it's true.
Annie says tell Spencer he's a total turkey. Tell him she'd write and say so herself, but she's scared of barfing all over the page.
Do you get out for Thanksgiving? We don't, because of the war.
We do, but I don't. I've been grounded just for smoking one lousy Chesterfield out behind the art studio. So now I have to stay here and eat stale turkey with Cubans and Californians. That's all right. I was supposed to meet Mummy in New York, but it looks like she can't be there anyway because she's going to Reno to divorce Hooper McFeel. Yippee, yay. He was a jerk and a pill, and he used to bother me in bed, if you must know.
I like seeing you Christmas vacation, particularly with your braces off. I really like necking with you in the Watson's rumpus room. Will you go steady with me?
I don't believe in going steady. It's against my religion. I hated that stuff with all those pairs of pimply people in Watson's basement, leaning on each other, swaying to that dumb music with all the lights off. If that's going steady, I say screw it. My mother says we should meet as many boys as we can before you have to settle down and marry one of them. That way you'll make less of a mistake. It didn't work for her, but maybe it'll work for me.
Can we at least go to the movies together during spring vacation?
I don't know, Andy. I like seeing you, but I don't want to go home much anymore. My mother gets drunk a lot, if you must know, and comes into my room all the time and talks endlessly about I don't know what because she slurs her words. The only really good time I had was when I came over to your house Christmas Eve. That was fun. Singing around the piano, hanging up the stockings, playing Chinese checkers with your brother, even helping your mother with the gravy. I liked all of that. You may not have as much money as we have, but you've got a better family. So spring vacation, I'm going to visit my grandmother in Palm Beach. Oh hum. At least I'll get a tan. P.S. Enclosed is a picture I drew of your dog Porgy, who I remember from Christmas Eve. The nose is wrong, but don't you think the eyes are pretty good?
I'm stroking the 4th crew now. Yesterday I rode number 2 on the 3rd. Tomorrow I may row number 6 on the 2nd or number 4 on the 5th. Who knows? You get out there and work your butt off, and the launch comes alongside you and looks you over, and the next day they post a list on the bulletin board saying who will row what. They never tell you what you did right or wrong, whether you're shooting your side or bending your back or what. They just post the latest results for all to see. Some days I think I'm doing really well and I get sent down 2 crews. One day I was obviously hacking around and they moved me up. There's no rhyme or reason. I went to Mr. Clark, who was the head of the rowing, and I said, "Look, Mr. Clark, there's something wrong about this system. People are constantly moving up and down and no one knows why. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with whether you're good or bad, strong or weak, coordinated or uncoordinated. It all seems random, sir." And Mr. Clark said, "That's life, Andy," and walked away. Maybe that's life, but it doesn't have to be life. You could easily make rules which made sense so the good ones moved up and the bad ones moved down. People knew what was going on. I'm serious. I was thinking about going to law school later on.
Your last letter was too much about rowing. Do you know a boy there named Steve Scully? I met him down in Florida, and he said he went to your school and was on the 1st crew. He said he was the fastest rower in the boat. Is that true, or was he lying? I think he may have been lying.
Steve Scully was lying. He doesn't even row. And if he did and rowed faster than everyone else in the same boat, he messed the whole thing up. He said he got to 2nd base with you. Is that true?
Steve Scully is a lying son of a bitch. You can say I said so.
Will you be around this summer? I think I've got a summer job caddying, so you come or can. Thank God.
I'll be visiting my father in California. I haven't seen him in 4 years. He has a new wife, and I have 2 half-sisters now. It's like going to find a whole new family. Oh, I hope. I hope.
Do you like California? Write me about California. How's your second family? Did you get my letters? I checked with your mother and I had the correct address. How come you haven't answered me all summer? Back at school now. Hope everything's okay with you. Did you get my letters out in California, or did you have a wicked stepmother who confiscated them?
I don't want to talk about California. Ever. For a while I thought I had 2 families, but now I know I really don't have any. You're very lucky, Andy. You don't know it, but you are. But maybe I'm lucky too, in another way. I was talking to Mrs. Wadsworth, who comes in from Hartford to teach us art. She says I have a real talent both in drawing and in painting, and she's going to try me out in pottery as well. She says some afternoon she's going to take me just by myself to her studio in Hartford. We'll do life drawings of her lover in just a jockstrap. Don't laugh! She says art and sex are sort of the same thing.
Dear Melissa, I have 4 questions, so please concentrate. 1. Will you come up to the midwinter dance? 2. If so, can you arrive on the 11:22 Friday night train? 3. Does the rector's wife have to write your headmistress telling her where you'll be staying? 4. Does the rector's wife also have to write your mother?
The answer is yes, except for my mother, who doesn't care.
I have to tell you this right off the bat. I'm really goddamn mad at you. I invite you up here for the only dance my class have been able to go to since we got here. I meet you at the train and buy you a vanilla milkshake and bring you out to the school in a taxi. I scored 2 goals for you during the hockey game the next afternoon. I buy you the $8 Gardenia corsage. I make sure your dance card is filled with the most regular guys in school, and then what happens? I now hear that you sneaked off with Bob Arvin during the Vienna waltz and nepped with him in the coat room. I heard that from 2 guys, and then Bob himself brought it up yesterday at breakfast. He says he French kissed you and touched both your breasts. I tried to punch him, but Mr. Endbody restrained me. I'm really sore, Melissa. I consider this a betrayal of everything I hold near and dear, particularly since you would hardly even let me kiss you goodnight after we had cocoa at the rector's. You know what I'm talking about, too. So don't expect any more letters from me or any telephone calls either during spring vacation. Sincerely yours.
Sorry, I am. I hate that Bob Bartman. I hated him even when I necked with him. I know you won't believe that, but it's true. You can be attracted to someone you hate. Well, maybe you can't, but I can. So, all right, I necked with him. But he never touched my chest, and if he says he did, he should be strung up by his testicles. You tell him that at breakfast. Anyway, I got carried away, Andy, and I'm a stupid bitch, and I'm sorry. I felt so guilty about it that I didn't want to kiss you after the cocoa. Besides, Andy, how do you even say this? With you, it's different. You're like a friend to me. You're like a brother. I've never had a brother, and I don't have too many friends, so you're both. Andy, you're it. My mother says we must never say that to a man, but I'm saying it anyway, and it's true. Maybe if I didn't know you so well, maybe I hadn't grown up with you, maybe if we hadn't written all these goddamn letters all the time, I could have kissed you the way I kissed Bob Bartman. Oh, but please, let's see each other spring vacation. Please, I count on you. Andy, I need you. I think sometimes I go stark raving mad if I didn't have you to hold on to. I really think that sometimes. Much love. Happy Easter! I know no one sends Easter cards except maids. But here's mine anyway, drawn with my own hot little hands. I drew those tears on the corny bunny on the left because it misses you so much. But maybe I just made it all the cornier. Greetings from Palm Beach. Decided to visit my grandmother. Yawn, yawn. I'm a whiz at backgammon and gin rummy. Here you took Gretchen Lascelles to see Quo Vadis and sat in the loge and put your arm around her and smoked. Naughty, naughty. Back at school, but not for long, that's for sure. Caught nipping gin in the woods with Bubbles Harriman. Have to pack my trunk by tonight and be out tomorrow. Mommy is frantically pulling strings all over the eastern seaboard for another school. Mrs. Wadsworth, my art teacher, thinks I should chuck it all and go to Italy and study art. What do you think? Oh, please write, Andy. Please. I need your advice. Or are you too busy thinking about Gretchen Lascelles?
To answer your question about Italy, I think you're too young to go. My mother said she had a roommate once who went to Italy in the summer, and the Italians pinched her all the time on the rear end. Mother says she became thoroughly overstimulated. So I think you should go to another school, graduate, go to college. Maybe after that, when you're more mature, you could go to Italy. That's my advice for what it's worth, which is probably not much the way things are going between you and me.
Here I am at Emma Willard's Academy for Young Lesbians. Help! Let me out of here. Plus ça change, plus c'est the same shit. Are you coming straight home this June? Because I am. I want to see you. Or are you still in love with Gretchen LaSalles?
For your information, I'm not taking Gretchen LaSalles out anymore. I brought her home after the Penny's party and my father caught us on the couch. He told me that he didn't care what kind of girls I took out as long as I didn't bring them around my mother. Even though my mother was up in bed. Still, I guess Gretchen can be embarrassing to older people.
I hope to see you in June then.
Can't come home in June, sorry. I have to go and be a counselor at the school camp for poor kids from the urban slums. I'm the vice president of my class now, I'm supposed to set an example of social responsibility all through July. I'll be writing you letters though, and I hope you'll write me.
I don't want to write letters all the time. I really don't. I just want to see you.
You just need more confidence in your letter writing ability. Sometimes you manage to attain a very vivid style.
Please, just stop writing about writing and come home and go to the Campbell sports party before you go to that stupid camp. Please? I behave better when you're around. In person. Please.
Greetings from New Hampshire. This card shows the town we're near where we sneak in and buy beer. We're cleaning the place up now, putting out the boat docks and caulking the canoes because the kids arrive tomorrow. Gotta go right soon.
I miss you. I really wish you'd come to the Campbell sports party.
Dear Melissa, Sandy McCarthy arrived from home for the second shift here at camp, and he told me all about Campbell's sports party. He said you wore a two-piece bathing suit and ran around goosing girls and pushing boys into the pool. Do you enjoy that sort of crap? He said the other girls were furious at you. Don't you want the respect of other women? Sandy also said you let Bucky Zeller put a tennis ball into your cleavage. You a nympho or what? Don't you ever just like sitting down somewhere and making conversation? Sandy says you're turning into a hotbox. Do you like having that reputation? Hell, I thought there was a difference between you and Gretchen LaSalles. Maybe I was wrong. Don't you care about anything in this world except hacking around? Don't you feel any obligation to help the poor people, for example? Sometimes I think your big problem is you're so rich you don't have enough to do, and so you start playing grab-ass with people. I'm sorry to say these things, but what Sandy told me made me slightly disgusted, frankly. I wrote you a letter from New Hampshire. Did you receive it? Are you there, or are you visiting your grandmother, or what? Are you sore at me? I bet you're sore at me. If I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm a stuffy bastard sometimes, aren't I? The hell with you, then.
Ooh, big tough Andy using four-letter words like hell.
Screw you.
Don't you wish you could?
Everyone else seems to be.
Don't believe everything you read in the papers. Dear Andrew Makepeace Ladd, the turd. I just want you to know you hurt me very much. I just want you to know that. So now let's just leave each other alone for a while. All right? All right.
Dear Melissa, my mother wrote me that your grandmother had died. Please accept my deepest sympathies.
Thank you for the note about my grandmother. I loved her a lot, even though she could be a little boring.
Congratulations on getting into Briarcliff. I hear it's great.
Thank you for your note about Briarcliff. It's not great, and you know it. In fact, it's a total pit, but it's close to New York, and I can take the train in and take drawing at the Institute 3 days a week. And in 2 years, if I stick it out, Mommy's promised that I can go live in Florence. I hope you like Yale.
Would you consider coming to the Yale-Dartmouth games Saturday, October 28th?
I'll be there.
Uh-oh. Damn, I'm sorry, Melissa. I have to cancel. My parents have decided to visit that weekend, and they come first, according to them. My mother says she'd love to have you with us, but my father thinks you can be somewhat distracting.
You and your parents, let me know when you decide to grow up.
Well, how about the Harvard game, November 16th?
Do you plan to grow up at the Harvard game?
Give me a chance, Melissa. I might surprise you.
Okay, let's give it a try. You should know that I'm even richer now than when you said I was rich, thanks to poor Granny. I plan to drive up to the front gate of Calhoun College in my brand new red Chrysler convertible and sit there, stark naked. honking my horn and drinking champagne, and flashing all the freshmen.
Here's the schedule. We'll have lunch at the Calhoun around noon, then drive out to the game. Then there's a sea breeze party at the Fence Club afterwards, and an eggnog brunch at St. Anthony's the next day. I'll reserve a room for you at the Taft or the Duncan. Probably the Taft, since the Duncan is a pretty seedy joint.
Make it the Duncan. I hear the Taft is loaded with parents, all milling around the lobby, keeping tabs on who goes up in the elevators. Can't wait until the 16th.
The Duncan it is. Hubba hubba, good year rubba.
Dear Andy, this is supposed to be a thank you note for the Yale-Harvard weekend, but I don't feel like writing one, and I think you know why. Love, Melissa.
Dear Melissa, I keep thinking about the weekend. I can't get it out of my mind. It wasn't much good, was it? I don't mean just the Duncan, I mean the whole thing. We didn't really click, did we? I always had the sense that you were looking over my shoulder, looking for someone else and ditto with me. Both of us seemed to be expecting something different from what was there. As for the Hotel Duncan, I don't know. Maybe I had too many sea breezes. Maybe you did. But what I really think is that there were too many people in that hotel room. Besides you and me, it seemed my mother was there egging us on, my father shaking his head, and your mother zonked out on the couch, and Miss Hawthorne and your grandmother sitting on the sidelines watching us like hawks. Anyway, I was a dud. I admit it, and I'm sorry. I went to the infirmary on Monday and talked to the doctor about it, and he said these things happen all the time. Particularly when there's a lot of pressure involved. The woman doesn't have to worry about it so much, but the man does. Anyway, it didn't happen with Gretchen LaSalle's. You can write her and ask her if you want.
You know what I think is wrong? These letters. These goddamn letters. That's what's wrong with us, in my humble opinion. I know you more from your letters than I do in person. Maybe that's why I was looking over your shoulder. I was looking for the person who's been in these letters all these years. Or for the person who's not in these letters. I don't know. All I know is you're not quite the same when I see you, Andy. You're really not. I'm not saying you're a jerk in person. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that all this writing letters has messed us up. It's a bad habit. It's made us seem like people we're not. So maybe what was wrong was that there were two people missing in the Hotel Duncan that night. Namely, the real you and the real me.
Whatever the matter is, we're in trouble, you and I. That I realize. So now what do we do about it? Maybe we should just concentrate on dancing together. Then we can still hold each other and move together and get very subtly sexy with each other. And not have to deliver the goods all the time, if you know what I mean. Come to think of it, maybe that's why they sent us to dancing school in the first place. Maybe that's why dancing was invented.
At least we should stop writing letters for a while. You could start telephoning me, actually. Here's our dorm number. Wilson, 12486.
I hate talking to you on the telephone. Yours is in the hall and ours is right by the college dining room. People are always coming and going and making cracks. Telephoning is not letter writing at all.
I called the telephone company, and they put a private phone in my room. Rogers, 22403. It's sort of expensive, but at least we can talk.
The reason I'm writing you is because your phone's always busy. Or else ours is. I can't afford a private one. Maybe we should just start writing letters again.
No letters, please. Now order that telephone. I'll lend you the dough. Just think about it. You can talk back and forth, hear someone's real voice, and get to know them in life rather than on writing paper, for God's sake. Now get that phone, please.
I'm writing you because when I telephoned you, you just hung up on me. One thing about letters, you can't hang up on them.
You can tear up letters, though. Enclosed are the pieces. Send them to Angela Addison at Sarah Lawrence.
What the hell does it matter?
I hear you're now writing long letters twice a week to Angela Addison. That's what's the matter.
Okay, here goes. The reason why I'm writing to Angie Atkinson is because I just don't think I can stop writing letters, particularly to girls. As I told you before, in some ways, I feel most alive when I'm holed up in some corner writing things down. I pick up a pen and almost immediately everything around me seems to take shape. I love to write. I love writing my parents because then I become that ideal son. I love writing essays for English because then I am for a short while a true scholar. I love writing letters to the newspaper, notes to my friends, Christmas cards, anything where I have to put down words. I love writing you most of all. I always have. I feel like a true lover when I'm writing to you. This letter, which I'm writing with my own hand, with my own pen, and my own penmanship, comes from me and no one else, and is a present of myself to you. It's not typewritten, though I've learned how to type. There's no copy of it, though I suppose I could use a carbon. And it's not a telephone call, which is dead as soon as it's over. No, this is just me. Me the way I write, the way my writing is, the way I want to be to you, giving myself to you across a distance, not keeping or retaining any part of it for myself. Giving this piece of myself to you totally. And you can tear me up and throw me out, or keep me and read me today, tomorrow, or any time you want until you die.
Oh boy, Andy. Love Melissa.
No, I meant what I wrote in my last letter. I've thought about it. I've thought about all those dumb things which were done to us when we were young. We had absent parents, slapping nurses, stupid rules, obsolete schooling, empty rituals, hopelessly confusing sexual customs. Oh my God. When I think about it now, it's almost unbelievable. It's a fantasy. It's like back in those Oz books, the way we grew up. But they gave us an out in the land of Oz. They made us write. They didn't always make us write particularly well, and they didn't always give us important things to write about. But they did make us sit down and organize our thoughts and convey those thoughts on paper as clearly as we could to another person. Thank God for that. That saved us, or at least saved me. So I have to keep writing letters. If I can't write them to you, I have to write them to someone else. I don't think I could ever stop writing completely. Now, can I come up and see you next weekend, or better yet, won't you please escape from that suburban Sing Sing and come down here and see me? I wrote my way into this problem, and God damn it, I'm writing my way out. I'll make another reservation at the Hotel Duncan, and I promise I'll put down my pen and give you a better time.
Dear Andy, guess what? Right while I was in the middle of reading your letter, Jack Duffield telephoned from Amherst and asked me for the weekend up there. So I said yes before I got to where you asked me. Sorry, sweetie, but it looks like the telephone wins in the end.
Dear Melissa, somehow I don't think this is the end. It could be, but I don't really think it is. At least I hope it isn't. Love, Andy.
Hey, yoo-hoo! Look where I am, Florence. Oops, I mean Firenze. I love it.
What are you doing in Florence?
What am I doing? I'm painting, among other things.
Good luck on the painting. Go slow on the other things. Merry Christmas.
Buon Natale.
Happy birthday. Mother wrote you won an art prize in Perugia. She said it was a big deal. Congratulations.
Congratulations on making Scroll and Key, whatever that is.
Merry Christmas from the land of Oz.
Feliz Navidad from the Costa del Sol.
Happy birthday from the Sterling Library.
Here you graduated summa cum laude and with all sorts of prizes. Sounds disgusting.
Anchors away. Here I am looking like Henry Fonda in Mr. Roberts, writing this during the midwatch on the bridge of a giant attack aircraft carrier, churning through the Mediterranean in the wake of Odysseus and Lord Nelson and Richard Halliburton. You'll be pleased to know our guns are loaded, our planes are in position, and our radar is constantly scanning the skies, all designed simply and solely to protect you against communism. The next time you see me, I want you to salute.
I should have known you joined the Navy. Now you can once again be with all boys.
We come into La Spezia in January. Could we meet?
Sorry, I'll be in Zermatt in January.
Ship will be in the Mediterranean all spring. will come into Naples March 3rd, 4th, or 5th. How about standing on the pier and waving us in?
As the French say, je suis désolé. I'm meeting Mother in Paris in March. Why don't you sail up the Seine?
Merry Christmas from Manila. I've been transferred to an admiral's staff.
Happy New Year from Aspen.
What are you doing in Aspen?
Going steadily downhill.
Hello from Hong Kong.
Goodbye to San Francisco.
Konnichiwa. Ohayo gozaimasu. Shore duty in Japan.
Hey you, rumor hath it you're hooked up with some little Jap bar girl out there. Say it isn't so. Mother wrote that you're living with some Japanese geisha girl, and your family's all upset. Is that true? Did you get my letter? You're so far away and your Navy address is so peculiar that I'm not sure I'm reaching you. I hear you're seriously involved with a lovely Japanese lady. Would you write me about her?
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I thought you might appreciate this card. It's a print by the 19th century artist Hiroshige. It's called Two Lovers Meeting on a Bridge in the Rain. Love, Andy.
Hey, you sly dog. Are you getting subtle in your old age? Are you trying to tell me something? If so, tell me more. I told my psychiatrist about the great love affair you're having in Japan. I said I felt suddenly terribly jealous. He said that most American men have to get involved with a dark-skinned woman before they can connect with the gorgeous blonde goddesses they really love. Is that true? Write me what you think. I'm dying to hear from you. Did you get my last letter? I hope I didn't sound flip. Actually, I've just become involved with someone too. His first name is Darwin, and he works on Wall Street, where he believes in the survival of the fittest. I'd love to hear from you. Your mother told my mother that you decided to marry your Japanese friend and bring her home. Oh no, say it isn't so. I've decided to marry Darwin. He doesn't know it yet, but he will. Won't you at least wish me luck?
Lieutenant Junior Grade Andrew M. Ladd III regrets that he is unable to accept the kind invitation.
Dear Andy, thank you for the lovely Japanese bowl. I'll put flowers in it when you come to visit us. If you come to visit us, and if you bring flowers. Maybe you'll just bring your Japanese war bride and we can all sit around and discuss Rashomon. I know you'll like Darwin. When he laughs, it's like Pinocchio turning into a donkey. We're living in a carriage house in New Canaan, close to the train station, and I've got a studio all of my own. P.S. Won't you please write me about your big romance? Mother says your parents won't even talk about it anymore.
Dear Melissa, I'm writing to tell you this. Outside of you, and I mean outside of you, this was probably the most important thing that's ever happened to me. And I mean was, because it's over, it's gone, and I'm coming home, and that's all I ever want to say about it, ever again.
Mr. and Mrs. Darwin H. Cobb announced the birth of their daughter, Francesca.
Many congratulations on the baby.
Harvard Law School yet. Are you getting all stuffy and self-important?
Well, as you know, I've always liked to write letters. I decided I might do better trying to write laws, which, after all, are the letters that civilization writes to itself.
Yes, you are getting all stuffy and self-important. Come and have a drink with us sometime. We're right on the way to New York, and sooner or later, everyone comes to New York.
I read the New York Times account of your show in Stanford. Sounds like you're causing a series of seismic shocks up and down the Merritt Parkway.
Don't joke about my work. There's more there than what they said in your goddamn Bible, the New York Times. Enclosed, see what other critics said. Notice they think I'm good. I am, too. Or could be, if I could only focus.
Sorry. I know you're good. I've always known it.
Here you made law review, whatever that means. I assume you review laws? I wish you'd review some of the marriage laws.
Just a quick note. Are you in any trouble?
I don't understand your last note. We're fine, all fine. Everyone's fine.
Congratulations on baby number 2.
Number 2 is a perfect way to describe this baby.
Greetings from Washington. Here clerking for a Supreme Court justice, which isn't as fancy as it sounds.
Dear Andy, I was very sorry to hear about the death of your father. I know he was a great influence on you, and I know you loved him very much. I also know he didn't like me. I'm sure he thought I was bad for you, and I probably was. Still, he was a good, decent man, and I always knew where I stood with him when you'd bring me home to your family, back in the old days, back in the land of Oz. I wish I had a father like that. Please accept my deepest sympathies. Love, Melissa.
Dear Melissa, thank you for your note on my father. I did love him. He was a classy guy, the best of his breed. Even now he's gone, I can still hear him, reminding me of my obligations to my family, to my country, to myself, in roughly that order. All my life he taught me that those born to privilege have a special responsibility, which is, I suppose, why I came home alone from Japan, why I chose the law, and why I'll probably enter politics sometime down the line. Thanks for writing. Love, Andy.
Merry Christmas! I'm enclosing a snapshot Mother took of me and the girls. Don't I look domestic? Stop looking at my hair. By the way, you'll notice you know who's not in the picture.
Thanks for the Christmas card. Are you in any trouble?
Greetings from Reno. Could I stop by Washington on the way back east?
Let me know when you're coming. You can meet Jane.
Jane?
I'm going out with a great girl named Jane.
Melissa Gardner Cobb regrets that she will be unable to accept the kind invitation of...
Dear Melissa, I had to add my 2 cents worth to Jane's thank you note for the wedding present. Guess who is jealously peeking over my shoulder to make sure this isn't a love letter? First of all, thanks for the present, whatever it was. Oh, a tray. Okay, I'm now told it was a tray. A hand-painted tray, okay. Hand-painted by you, I'll bet. Anyway, thank you. I hope all goes well with you, as it does with us. We'll be moving to New York in the fall. I got a job with one of those high-powered law firms. It'll probably be stuffy as hell for a while, but I'll learn the ropes. Besides, it's in my home state. It might be a good jumping-off place for something political a little way down the line. We both want you to come to dinner once you're settled in. And don't say you never come to New York. Sooner or later, everyone comes to New York. As someone once wrote long, long ago. Merry Christmas from us to you. Where are you these days? Happy birthday. See, even a married man never forgets. Get well soon. Mother wrote that you had some difficulty. I hope it's not serious. And by now you're feeling fine. I can't remember exactly what 1 dozen roses are supposed to say, but here they are. I hope they say cheer up. Hey, I sent you some flowers a while back. Did you receive them? Are you all right?
Dear Andy, yes, I'm all right. Yes, I got your flowers. Yes, I'm fine. No, actually, I'm not fine. And they tell me I've got to stop running around saying I am. I'm here at this posh joint outside Boston, drying out for $155 a day. One of my problems is that I got slightly too dependent on the Kickapoo Joy Juice, a habit which they tell me I picked up during the party days back in our town. Another is that I slide into these terrible lows. Mummy says I drag everybody down, and I guess she's right. Anyway, the result is that my ex has taken over custody of the girls, and I'm holed up here, popping tranquilizers, talking my head off in single and group psychiatric sessions, and turning into probably the biggest bore in the greater Boston area.
Have you thought about doing some painting again? That might help. Did you get my note about taking up art? You were very good, and you know it. You should keep it up.
I did get your notes. I have taken it up, and it helps. Thank you. I'm channeling my rage, enlarging my vision, all that. I hope all goes well with you and... Wait, hold it. I'm looking it up in my little black book. Ah, Jane. It's Jane. Hope all's well with you and Jane.
Merry Christmas from Andy and Jane Ladd and Andrew the Fourth. Guess the name of the dog.
Porgy.
You got it.
Merry Christmas from San Antonio. I'm trying the Southwest. I can see the most incredible shapes from my bedroom window. And there's also a pretty incredible shape now sleeping in my bed.
Season's greetings from the Ladd family. Mother wrote you were planning to get married again?
I was. I did. I'm not now.
Donna Rhodes and McAllister announced the appointment to partnership of Mr. Andrew M. Ladd III.
Dear Andy, now you're such a hotshot lawyer. Could you help me get my children back? Darwin hardly lets me near them, and when he does, they behave as if I had some contagious disease. I wasn't much of a mother, but maybe I could improve if I just had the legal responsibility.
I'll better stay out of this one. Our past connections, conflict of interest.
Hello from Egypt. I'm trying to start again in the cradle of civilization.
Christmas greetings from the Ladds. Andy, Jane, Drew, Nicholas, and Ted. And of course, Porgy.
I'm thinking of moving to Los Angeles. Do you know anyone in Los Angeles? Does anyone know anyone in Los Angeles?
Joy to the world from all the lads. Note our new address.
Merry Christmas. Hey, you. What's going on? Just when I decide to move to New York, I see you've scampered off to the suburbs.
I find the suburbs generally safer.
Chicken. Mother wrote that you won some important election for the Republicans. I'm terribly disappointed. I love all politicians, but I do find Democrats better in bed.
I'm a liberal Republican with a strong commitment to women's rights. Doesn't that count?
Depends on your position, Andy. Paintings and Drawings by Melissa Gardner, The Hastings Gallery, 422 Broadway, March 18th through April 30th. Opening reception March 20th, 6 to 8 p.m. Note, I've gone back to my maiden name. That's a laugh.
I got your announcement for your new show. Good luck. P.S. I'd love to get one of your paintings. We could use a little excitement on our living room walls. Seriously, what would one cost?
Come to the show and find out.
Never made it to your show. Sorry. Things came up.
Chicken again.
You're right.
Actually, it's just as well. I'm going through what the critics call an anarchistic phase. They say I'm dancing on the edge of an abyss. You'd better stay away. I might take you with me when I fall.
Dear friends, Jane tells me it's about time I took a crack at the annual Christmas letter. So here goes. Let's start at the top with our quarterback, Jane herself, who never ceases to amaze us all. Not only has she continued to be a superb mother to our 3 sons, but she has also managed to commute into the city and hold down a part-time job in the gift shop at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Furthermore, she is now well on her way to completing a full-fledged master's degree in arts administration at SUNY Purchase. More power to Jane, so say we all. We are also proud of our 3 boys. Young Drew was soccer captain at Exeter last fall and hopes to go on to Yale. Nicholas, our rebel in residence, has become a computer genius in high school and has already received several tantalizing offers for summer jobs from local electronic firms. We all know that it's tougher to place our youngsters in meaningful summer employment than it is to get them into Harvard. So we're very proud of how far Nick has come. Ted, our last but no way our least, now plays the clarinet in the school band at Dickinson Country Day. Since Jane and I are barely capable of singing "You Are Our Sunshine" without going disastrously flat. When we hear him produce his dulcet sounds, we look at each other in wild surmise. We recently bought the family summer place for my brother and sister and hope to spend as much time as we can there, gardening, relaxing, and as the boys say, generally vegging out. And I have become killers on the tennis court and hereby challenge all comers. If any of our friends are in the Adirondack area this summer, we expect telephone calls. We expect visits. We expect elaborate house gifts. I've enjoyed very much serving on the state legislature. We've proposed and written a number of bills. We've won some and lost some. All my life I've had the wish to do something in the way of public service, and it's been a great pleasure to put that wish into practice. For those of my friends who have urged me to seek higher office, let me simply say that I have enough challenges right here where I am. Jane and the boys join me in wishing each and all of you a happy holiday season.
Dear Andy, if I ever again get another one of those drippy Christmas serum snacks, I think I'll invite myself over to your house, your ducky little house, for dinner. And when you're all sitting there, eating terribly healthy food and discussing terribly important things, and generally congratulating yourselves on all your accomplishments, I think I'll get up on my chair, turn around, and moon the whole fucking family.
You're right. It was a dumb letter and I apologize for it. Jane normally writes it and it sounds better when she does. I always felt better writing to just one person, such as to you. I guess what I was really saying that as far as my family is concerned, we're all managing to hold our heads above water in this tricky world. Jane and I have had our problems, but we're comfortable with each other now. And the boys, for the moment, are out of trouble. Nicky seems to be off drugs. And Ted is getting help with his stammer. Porgy Jr., my old cocker, died. And I miss him too much to get a replacement. I'm thinking of running for the Senate next fall if O'Hara retires. What do you think? I'd really like your opinion. And say, if you decide to answer this, you might write care of my office address. Jane has a slight tendency toward melodrama, particularly after she got a hold of your last little note.
Senate yet. I should have known. Oh, Andy, just think. Once again, you can be with all boys. Well, go for it. You'll be an image of righteousness and rectitude in our God-forsaken land. Or maybe it's just me that's God-forsaken these days.
The Honorable Andrew M. Ladd III wishes to express his thanks for your generous donation to his senatorial campaign. You sent too much, Melissa. You didn't have to.
Greetings from Silver Hill. Slight regression in the liquor department. They say it's in the genes. Lord knows my mother has the problem, and my father too, in the end. Anyway, I'm working on it. Darwin is being a real shit about girls. He's cut down on my visitation rights. So when you get to Washington, I want you to write a special law about vindictive ex-husbands, banishing them to Lower Slobovia forever and ever. Amen.
Season's greetings from Senator and Mrs. Andrew M. Ladd and family.
Season's greetings indeed. Is that all you can say to me after 40 years? I'm warning you, Andy. Keep that shit up, and I swear I'll come down and moon the whole Senate.
Sorry. My staff sent that out. Merry Christmas, old friend. How are you? Where are you these days?
Oh, living in New York, alone for a change. But the big question is, who am I these days? That's the toughie. I keep thinking about that strange old world we grew up in. How did it manage to produce both you and me? A stalwart, upright servant of the people, and a boozed-out, lascivious, cynical old broad. The best and the worst. That's us.
Don't be so tough on yourself. Get back to your art.
I'll try.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and much love.
Much love? Much love. God, Andy, how sexy. Remember how much that meant in our preppy days. If it was just love, you were out in the cold. And if it was all my love, you were hemmed in for life. But much love meant that things could go either way. Remember?
Merry Christmas, and love from us all.
Saw you on 60 Minutes. You looked fabulous. And that was a great little pep talk in the Senate on our responsibilities to Latin America. But don't forget to keep your eye on the ball.
Thanks for your card. What ball?
The ball is that money doesn't solve everything. It helps, but it's not as much as people think. Take it from one who knows. That's the ball.
Merry Christmas and love. What are you up to these days?
Ooh, I'm trying to work with clay. Remember that clay we used in old Mrs. Mickler's art class in 4th grade? That old gray stuff. Plasticine. I'm trying to work with that. I'm making cats and dogs, and I even made a kangaroo jumping over a glass of orange juice. Remember that? I'm trying to get back to some of those old feelings I had back in the homeland. I have to find feelings, any feelings. Otherwise, I'm dead. Come down and help me search. I have a studio down in Soho, and we could at least have dinner and talk about old times, couldn't we, Senator Ladd? P.S. Did you know that my mother got married again at the age of 82 to my father's brother? So now you have to call her Mrs. Gardner again, just like the old days. The wheel seems to be coming around full circle. Hint, hint.
A quick note on the way to the airport. When you write, put attention, Mrs. Walpole, on the envelope. She's my private secretary. I've alerted her, and she'll pass on the letters directly to me. Otherwise, the whole office staff seems to get a peek. In haste.
I'm having a show opening January 28th through February 25th. Won't you come? I'd love to see what I'd love for you to see what I've been up to. Maybe it will ring a few bells.
Can't make it? I'll be on an official trip to the Philippines most of February, then a week's spring skiing at Stowe with the boys. Good luck. How did the show go? Haven't heard from you. Tell me about the show. I want to hear from you, please.
The show stank. The crowd hated it, and the critics hated it, and I hated it. It was nostalgic shit. You can't go home again, and you can quote me on that. I'm turning to photography now. Realism, that's my bag. The present tense. Look at the world, modern world, squarely in the face, and don't blink. Oh, Andy, couldn't I see you? You're all I have left.
I'll be in New York next Tuesday the 19th. Have to make a fundraising speech at a dinner. I could stop by your place afterwards.
I'll be there all evening.
Red roses. This time I think I know what they mean.
All I know is that after last night, I want to see you again. Any chance of any other fundraisers coming up in the near future? Mrs. Walpole, are you there? Are you delivering the mail?
I'm sorry I've taken so long to reply. I've been upstate mending a few fences and then to Zurich for a 3-day economic conference. And then a weekend with Jane, mending a few fences there. Darling, I have to ask you not to use the telephone to the office. Every call has to get logged in, and most of them get screened by these overeager college interns who like to rush back to Cambridge and New Haven and announce to their classmates in poli-sci that Senator Ladd is shacking up on the side. The phones simply aren't secure. At long last, the letter beats out the telephone, my love, and guess what? I'm writing this with the old Parker 51 my grandmother gave me when I went away to school. I found it in the back of my bureau drawer with my scroll and key pin, my Lieutenant J.G. bars, and the Zippo lighter you gave me at some dance. The pen didn't even work at first. I had to clean it out and then traipse all over Washington looking for a store that still sells a bottle of ink. Anyway, it feels good holding this thing. It feels good writing you again, longhand, forming my D's and T's the way Miss Emerson taught us to do so long ago. I know you've never liked writing letters, but now you have to. Ha-ha! As for business, I plan to come through New York next Wednesday, and I'll call you from the airport if there's time to stop by.
Sweetheart, I loved seeing you. Come again.
We'll be stopping through a week from next.
Did you ever dream we'd be so good at sex?
Two uptight old wasps going at it like a sale of Brooks Brothers.
I figure 50 years went into last night.
Let's go for 100.
Oh my God. Come again soon.
I'm already making plans.
Have to go to San Francisco to visit the girls.
I don't see how we could possibly go public.
Some country inn, some delicious
I don't see how we could.
See you more for just a few hours.
There's a price we pay.
I'm getting to think about nothing else.
I'm not sure I can change my whole
Other
life so
politicians have gotten divorced.
Jane,
Rockefeller,
the children,
Reagan.
my particular constituency.
You've become the center of my life. If you
Because
left, I don't
of the
think
coming
I
election,
could.
I don't see how we can.
Dear Andy, a reporter called out from Daily News. What do I do about it?
Nothing.
I suppose you know all this, but there's a crack about us in Newsweek. And Mother heard some radio talk show where they actually named names. What should I do? Go away? What?
Nothing.
They called Darwin, you know. They tracked him down. The son of a bitch told them this had been going on for years.
Wish it had been.
Now they're telephoning. What do I say?
Say we're good old friends.
Friends, I like. Good, I like. Old, I'm beginning to have problems with.
Don't say anything. Hang up. This too shall pass.
Will I be seeing you again?
Better not for a while.
I meant after the election.
Better lie low for a
I
while.
miss you terribly.
Better lie low.
I need you, Andy. You're my anchor man these days. Without you,
Hold on
I'm
now,
not sure
just hold on.
Where were you? I waited 3 hours hoping you'd at least call.
Please, don't telephone. Mrs. Walpole was sick that day.
I haven't seen you in over a month
The
now.
coming election?
Surely you could take some time
If
out
I want to be re-elected.
I need you. I need to
the
be with
election-
you. I don't know
the
if you
election-
can.
The election.
I haven't heard from you in 6 weeks, Andy. Are you trying to tell me something, Andy? Is this it, Andy? Congratulations on landslide victory. Love, Melissa.
Could we meet at your place next Sunday night?
Oh, thank God.
I meant that we have to talk, Melissa.
Uh-oh. Talk. I'm scared of talk. In fact, I dread it.
Dearest Melissa, are you all right? That was a pretty heavy scene last Sunday, but I know I'm right. We've got to go one way or the other, and the other way leads nowhere. I know I sound like a stuffy prick, but I do feel I have a responsibility to Jane and the boys, and now after the election, to my constituency, which had enough faith and trust to vote me back in despite all that crap in the newspapers. And it wouldn't work with us anyway, in the long run. Sweetheart, we're too old. We're carrying too much old baggage on our backs. We'd last about a week if we got married. But we can still write letters. We still have that, darling. Letters are still our strength and salvation. Mrs. Walpole is still with us. And there's no reason we can't continue to keep in touch in this wonderful old way. I count on your letters. Darling, I always have. And I hope you will count on mine. Are you there? I keep putting please forward on the envelopes. But who knows? Now I've even resorted to using the telephone, but all I get is your damn machine. Please, I need to hear from you. Senator and Mrs. Andrew M. Ladd III and family send you warm holiday greetings and every good wish for the new year.
Andy Ladd, is that you? Blow-dried and custom-tailored and jogging thin at 55. Hiding behind that lovely wife with her heels together and her hands folded discreetly over her snatch. And is that your new dog, Andy? Oh, I see you've graduated to a golden retriever. And are those your sons and heirs? And help, is that a grandchild nestled in someone's arms? God, Andy, you look like the Holy Family. Season's greetings and happy holidays and even Merry Christmas, Senator Ladd. We who are about to die salute you.
Just reread that last note. What's this "we who are about to die" stuff? May I see you again? I want to see you again, if I may. Dear Mrs. Gardner, I seem to have lost touch with Melissa again. I wondered if you might send me her latest address. Dear Melissa, your mother wrote that you'd return to the land of Oz. I'm flying up next Thursday to see you.
No, please don't. Stay away. I've let myself go. I'm fat, I'm ugly, my hair is horrible. I'm locked in at the funny farm all week, and Mother gets me on weekends if I'm good, and they put me on all kinds of new drugs, and half the time I don't make any sense at all. I can't even finger paint now without fucking it up. My girls won't even talk to me. They say I'm upset them too much. Oh, Andy, I messed things up. I made a total ghastly mess. I don't like life anymore. I hate it. Sometimes I think that if you and I had just, well, if we had just, oh, just stay away, Andy, please.
Arriving next Saturday morning, we'll meet you at your mother.
Don't. I don't want to see you. I won't be there. I'll be gone, Andy, I swear. I'll be gone.
Dear Mrs. Gardner, I think the first letter I ever wrote was to you, accepting an invitation for Melissa's birthday. And now I'm writing you again about her death. I want to say a few things on paper I couldn't say at her funeral, both when I spoke and when you and I talked afterwards. As you may know, Melissa and I managed to keep in touch with each other most of our lives, primarily through letters. Even now as I write you, I feel like I'm writing it to her.
You're in your element now, Andy.
We had a complicated relationship, she and I, all our lives. We went in very different directions. But somehow, over all those years, I think we managed to give each other something. Melissa expressed all the dangerous and rebellious feelings I never dared admit to.
Now he tells me.
And I'd like to think I gave her some sense of balance.
Balance? Oh, hell, I give up. Have it your way, Andy. Balance.
Most of the things I did in life, I did with her at least partly in mind. If I did or said any inauthentic thing, I could almost hear her groaning over my shoulder. But now she's gone, and I don't really know how I'm going to get along without her.
Oh, you survive, Andy.
I have a wonderful wife, fine children, a place in the world I think I can be proud of. But the death of Melissa suddenly leaves a huge gap in my life.
Oh, Andy.
The thought of never being able to write to her, to communicate with her, to get a signal back from her, fills me with an emptiness which is hard to describe.
Stop, Andy.
I don't think there are many men in this life who've had the benefit of such a friendship with such a woman. But it was more than friendship. I know that I loved her. I loved her from the moment she walked into the second grade class looking like the lost Princess of Oz.
Oh, Andy, please stop.
I never loved anybody like I loved her, and I don't think I ever will. She was at the heart of my life, and I already miss her terribly. I wanted to write to tell this to you and to her. Sincerely, Andy Ladd.
Thank you, Andy.